AEW Revolution 2022 has come and gone, and it was definitely one of AEW's best pay-per-views. Many people are saying this is arguably their best pay-per-view, and honestly, I wouldn't blame them because my God, was this pay-per-view amazing. I'll just start off by saying, overall show, this was fantastic. It's exactly what you want out of a big pay-per-view. It was well worth the $50 if you spent the money on it. And honestly, even the buy-in matches, which we're going to talk about in just a second, were just absolutely amazing and did exactly what they needed to do, and they accomplished so much. But there's so much to talk about. Let's just get right into it and talk about those buy-in matches. Laila Hirsch took on Kris Statlander in a singles match, and this has been building for a few weeks. Legit Laila Hirsch, she's had a big winning streak. She got that win over Red Velvet, and she's been attacking Stat and Red Velvet backstage. Their friendship has really taken a turn for the worst here, and she was number 2, I believe, in the women's division coming into this, and she got a win here, a big win over Kris Statlander in 950 to put her at number 1. She will now face Thunder Rosa at AEW Dynamite this week to determine the number 1 contender heading into St. Patrick's Day Slam. So that is going to be a big match. And honestly, this was great because it highlighted legit Laila Hirsch, and she beat someone in Kris Statlander who has competed for a title before, who is known to be one of the best workers, period, in AEW. So this is a big win for her. I'm glad she got it. The right person won here, and it accomplished what it needed to. Speaking of another match that accomplished exactly what it needed to, Hook versus QT Marshall. QT Marshall comes out, cuts a promo on Hook, and the handsome devil himself just comes out, stone-faced, scowl on his face. Taz is at ringside, calling the match along with Excalibur and everyone else, and he's putting his son over. It was amazing. Like, Hook is a star. He is a bona fide star. The dude's only like 24 years old, and he's amazing. He comes out, doesn't even acknowledge his former teacher in QT Marshall, and this was a little bit longer of a match than I expected. I expected this to be like, a 2-3 minute route for Hook, and, that's basically what he's been doing on Rampage. He's been having these very short matches, and this wasn't that long. It was only 5 minutes long, but still, you could see that they tried a few more things with Hook. They had him go on the outside, which he had never done before, and do some stuff with QT Marshall. He did a hip toss that was absolutely out of this world. Did a belly-to-belly suplex as well. I thought that Hook is growing. You can see the growth of this young kid into what is, I think, going to be a megastar. I think Hook has that potential. He's got that rabid fan base that loves him. He's obviously handsome as hell, and you can't teach that. But this was amazing. He got the win after applying the red rum to his former teacher, QT Marshall, in 5 minutes. Next elevation of Hook, I can't wait to see him versus Ricky Starks for that FTW title down the line, though. That's going to be an amazing match. Moving on, we had the House of Black, Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews, and Brody King taking on Eric Redbeard. Yes, the former Eric Rowan, joining forces with members of Death Triangle, Penta Oscuro, and Pac. Wow. First thing I noticed from this, House of Black, great entrance. We already knew that. But Penta and Pac came out with Alex Abrahantes. Alex Abrahantes was dressed up as Darth Maul with the red face paint and everything. Was amazing. Adding the element of Eric Redbeard as the equivalent monster to Brody King was very poetic. And honestly, I think with his performance in this match, Eric Redbeard might have gotten himself a contract, because he looked absolutely amazing in this match. Like, Redbeard did amazing work. Everyone in this match did as well. It was a lot of back and forth. It was very much, you could tell that the emotion was on everyone's face. Obviously, Penta and Pac, whenever they're out there, they want to put on a great performance, even if it's on the pre-show. And they went out there and stole this pre-show. This was a pay-per-view level match. This was actually better than, I think, the 6-man tag that was actually on the pay-per-view, in my opinion. But wow. Just wow. Accomplished exactly what it needed to. And because the House of Black did end up winning, getting the pinfall over this trio. But 17 minutes of just pure great wrestling. And you honestly cannot expect anything less from these 6 competitors. They're well trained, they're well versed, and they're well experienced. And together, they really put on a showcase. And I think it's good that they were actually on the buy-in because you actually got to expose them to a wider audience. And if someone watched this and was like, wow, this is what they're doing for the buy-in, I could see them buying the pay-per-view, like after watching this match, just thinking, what are they going to do on the pay-per-view if this is on the pre-show? So I think it's good. It helps build you up. It helps access AEW to a wider audience on YouTube and whatnot. But this was amazing. Great pre-show match. And yeah. Moving on, Eddie Kingston versus Chris Jericho. My God. To start off this show with Eddie Kingston versus Chris Jericho. Amazing idea by Tony Khan. One of the hottest matches with two of the just most over hottest acts in this company. Everyone loves Eddie Kingston. He comes out and there's Eddie chants. One of the loudest pops of the entire night was Eddie Kingston. Anything he did. The dude is charismatic as all hell. He is beloved. Honestly, AEW needs that kind of person. The kind of person who might not win every big match, but is just beloved, and goes down fighting every time. That's what Eddie Kingston's character has been. And going into this match, the one thing that I think a lot of people wanted to see was, okay, he didn't win the title against Mox. He lost against Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. He lost against CM Punk. At some point, he had to get a win over somebody. He had to. And he did just that against smart, snarly, whatever heel, whatever, put adjective here. Chris Jericho played the heel perfectly. He started flipping off the crowd. If there was any semblance of just, oh, maybe he's not a heel, it was proven wrong. Chris Jericho is a full-fledged heel. Flipped off the crowd, flipped off Eddie Kingston. Jericho delivered a lion salt that drove his knee right into Eddie Kingston's face. It looked like it hurt a lot. Kingston was fine, though. But these two were fast and furious. Eddie Kingston ended up picking up the victory over Chris Jericho, making him tap out. And after the match, Chris Jericho said that if Eddie Kingston won this match, he would be a man, shake his hand, and tell him that he respects him. After the match, Eddie Kingston says, "Cut my music," puts his hand out to Chris Jericho. As Chris Jericho reaches over to put his hand and shake hands with Eddie Kingston, he says, "No, forget it," and he just walks away, not honoring his promise, not living by the code of honor, actually. But there you go. Eddie Kingston is a beloved face that got the win over the snarly heel Chris Jericho in 1340. And my God, no better way to pick to start off this pay-per-view. I love this match. And I also love this match. Oh my God. 3-way tag team title match between Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. They're not calling them Jurassic Express anymore. I thought that was interesting. Versus the Young Bucks versus Red Dragon. Okay, the one thing I got to talk about when I'm talking about this match, dude, my guy, Bobby Fish, and his ad-libs are amazing. It doesn't matter what's going on, like, in the ring or outside the ring. He is just ad-libbing and talking, and he's saying, like, some of the funniest stuff ever. And I thought it was so entertaining. I thought he fits his character. He knows his character well. He understands what him and O'Reilly are. They're badasses, but they can also be very entertaining. And that's a great dynamic to have. That's why the Undisputed Era and then Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish in general are such a great tag team. The Young Bucks are the best tag team in the world. Don't care what anyone says. They just are. And they know each other so well. You want to say they're spot monkeys? Yeah, sure. But they are spot monkeys who know ring psychology, who know how to get over, who know how to get a match over. And the biggest thing, though, in this match, surprisingly, wasn't Red Dragon, wasn't the Young Bucks. It was the evolution of Jungle Boy. Watch this match, and you will see that Jungle Boy, compared to where he was 2-3 years ago when AEW first started, this man has come a very long way. And he has become, I think, a leader in AEW. I think he is one of the best wrestlers in the company. And this is a company full of the best in the world, literally and figuratively. And he is right up there. This dude is got a lot of potential. He's still got a ways to go. I think on promos especially, he's still got a ways to go. But Jungle Boy Jack Perry was an absolute star in this match. He more than handled his own against the Young Bucks and Red Dragon in this match. Wise beyond his years. Luchasaurus, this 6'7", 260-pound dinosaur, was just, he was leaping over the ropes. He was doing top rope moonsaults on the multiple people. He's amazing. He is just absolutely amazing. And I'm so glad, honestly, he's in AEW, because we're getting to see him at his full exposure and seeing exactly what he can do. End of the day, there was a lot of dissension between Red Dragon and the Young Bucks, who were started off like as working as allies, and then that obviously broke down. Kyle O'Reilly refused to tag in, I believe, Matt Jackson, and that led to a bit of a spiral for those teams. So I'm sure that's going to be the feud moving forward. It's going to be Red Dragon versus the Young Bucks as an individual feud, and you're going to put in Adam Cole. Eventually, Kenny Omega is going to come back. They planted the seeds for the Kenny Omega return when Don Callis came out during the pre-show to call Adam Cole a transitional champion if he had beaten Hangman Adam Page. So a lot to do there, a lot to see there. I can't wait for it. End of the day, Jungle Boy Jack Perry picked up the win in 1855. Lucha, or formerly Jurassic Express, retained their AEW World Tag Team titles. Next matchup was the TNT Championship ladder match, the Face of the Revolution ladder match, which would guarantee the winner a TNT Championship opportunity in 2 weeks' time. So, all right, there's a lot to break down here. There's a lot of people. It was Keith Lee, Orange Cassidy, Wardlow, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, and Christian Cage. I know this is Wardlow's coming out party because he won the match. Spoiler alert. But the person in this match who impressed me the most was Orange Cassidy, believe it or not. And I know there's going to be a lot of people like, he wasn't even the focus of the match, blah, blah, blah. Some of the stuff he did in this match was so damn entertaining. There was a spot where I believe it was Keith Lee and Wardlow were fighting. Sorry, it was Keith Lee, Wardlow, and Powerhouse Hobbs. And they were all surrounded Orange Cassidy in the middle of the ring, and he looks around and he starts doing his little sloth kicks. And obviously they explained it as mind games, and it worked. It really worked. So he's doing the sloth kicks, and as Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs go to attack Orange Cassidy, he ducks them. They accidentally take out Keith Lee, and he jumps onto the backs of Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs and almost grabs the ring that would guarantee him the victory in this match. I thought that was a great spot. Another great spot from Orange Cassidy was he had the ladder around his neck. He was doing the helicopter spot. Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs stop him, and then as Orange Cassidy has a very concerned look on his face, he does, I don't know how he did this. He did like a whirl. He turned himself from the bottom to the top, was standing on top of the ladder that both Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs were holding, and he goes up to reach up for the ring, and both Hobbs and Wardlow, they just nudge the ladder a little bit. Boom, he falls down right in the place that you do not want to fall down in. And that was basically the last spot of the match. But Orange Cassidy, for me, I don't know. I just enjoyed that a lot. A lot of other stuff. Keith Lee's amazing. He was over. The Bearcat was not. But Keith Lee is always over. He's always a winner. But Wardlow in this match was the star. He won this match by hitting a powerbomb to Ricky Starks off the ladder onto another ladder, and is now the face of the Revolution, and is going to face whoever the winner is of the TNT title match this week on AEW Dynamite. But man, oh man, I can't wait for this because we got more Wardlow to talk about in just a little bit. Jade Cargill took on Ty Conti in what I thought was going to be a potential show stealer match. I didn't think it was going to be long. I thought it would be a little longer than what we got. There was some sloppiness, obviously. I thought that Ty Conti being in there with Jade Cargill was going to do better. This is not an indictment, by the way, on Jade Cargill. She's going to be a megastar. Stop the hate on Twitter. Stop the hate online. She's going to be a megastar. She already is a huge star. Like, look at the demographics. Look at the ratings. They go up when she wrestles on TV. There you go. That's all the proof you need. More people tune in on Dynamite or Rampage when Jade Cargill is on their TV. That's just the truth. So she's a needle mover, people. But, she obviously has a bit of ways to go in the ring, and she'll get there. She's working with Sanjay Dutt. She's working with Bryan Danielson. This match did leave me wanting. I expected, honestly, more out of Ty Conti. And, it is what it is. But Jade Cargill retained in 650. Not really much to talk about, honestly. We'll probably revisit this match at some point. It'll come up again. There will be a rematch down the line. I was really concerned about having this match this early because I thought Ty Conti was going to be the one to actually slay the Dragon in Jade Cargill and end her undefeated streak down the line. But they decided to do it now. Maybe there's some storytelling aspects, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Moving on, our next match. The dog collar match between Maxwell Jacob Friedman and CM Punk. MJF, as he's making his entrance, he first starts off with playing Cult of Personality, kind of trolling the fans, and then it switches to his theme song. Fans are obviously booing him, and he's enjoying every minute of it. And then, as we expect Cult of Personality to be played for CM Punk, we hear AFI, his Ring of Honor theme. He's wearing some Ring of Honor inspired gear that he used to have with he was introduced as the Second City Saint. It was absolutely amazing. This was a throwback in a week where we are literally honoring Ring of Honor, as it was announced that Tony Khan had bought the company. It was so fitting to see this entrance, and this dog collar match was out of this world amazing. 5 stars. Absolutely amazing. They built it up. It was a little bit of a slow start, but that was intentional. They built it up, and when it got going, oh my God, it got going, and the blood started flowing, people. CM Punk looked like he had been in a car wreck, a literal car wreck. There were a bunch of amazing spots. I don't want to spend a lot of time, honestly, explaining every big spot in this match. Please go watch it. I implore you. This match itself was worth the price of admission for this whole event. It was absolutely amazing. CM Punk is great. 43 years old. Has not lost a step. MJF, 25, 26 years old. And has so much farther to go now. Where does he go from here? That's the thing. He's going to take it to a whole different level. There will be a bidding war in 2024. That's a shoot, people. WWE is going to want this kid. Amazing. The finishing sequence of the match saw MJF call for Wardlow, and Wardlow comes down, and as MJF is asking him for the diamond ring that he always uses to beat his opponent, Wardlow can't find the ring. He's like, I can't find the ring, allows CM Punk to take advantage, and then as MJF is down, CM Punk and Wardlow make eye contact, and Wardlow says, oh, wait, the ring's right here. Puts it down for CM Punk to pick up, hit Maxwell Jacob Friedman. 1, 2, 3. CM Punk wins the dog collar match in 25-45. He was very emotional afterwards, said that this was a tribute to his career. It was a tribute to Roddy Piper and Greg Valentine, and just absolutely amazing. Again, match of the night for me. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Go watch it, people. Moving on, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, defended her AEW Women's World Championship against Thunder Rosa. And I got to be honest, I was disappointed in this match. And it had very little to do with the competitors. I thought they did well with what they were given, but what they were given was not great. A lot of interference. Not a lot of storytelling past that. I think they kind of over-relied on the trope that Britt Baker needs people to help her to win. And I get that as she's a heel champion, but she didn't necessarily come off strong. And I don't think this really helped move that story along with Thunder Rosa, or it wasn't emphasized. So I don't know. I was disappointed in how they put this match together. It just seemed like at every turn, Jamie Hayter and Rebel were right there to bail Britt Baker out, distract Thunder Rosa, and it just didn't come across as good, honestly. So Do better. That's my thing. And it's not the performers. Whoever's booking this has got to do better, because this was a match that really, really, really just didn't do anything for me, honestly. And it had to do with the booking. It really had to do with the booking. Moving on, Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson. Into my veins. This match was amazing. They were bloodied. They literally bled together, is what Jon Moxley wanted. These two were in a fight. It seemed like a fight. It had a big fight feel, and it was great. Match ended with Bryan Danielson being defeated by pinfall by Jon Moxley. But what happened after is what everyone's talking about. What happened after is what everyone cares about. Afterwards, as Moxley's waiting, you think that these two are going to shake hands. But no, Bryan Danielson, an enraged Bryan Danielson who got caught with a roll-up, pissed off, attacks Jon Moxley, and these two start fighting. Security can't break them up. They're fighting security just to get at each other. They literally take out security. And then right as you think these two are going to be inseparable, we see the debut of Sir William Regal. I think they're going to call him Lord Regal in AEW, but Regal comes out, and he just, with a scowl on his face, slaps the ever-living soul out of both of these men. He goes over to Jon Moxley. He's telling him to break it up. They're better than this. He slaps Jon Moxley. And then Bryan Danielson's laughing. He's coming over. He's like, come on, William, let's go for a hug. He goes for the hug on William Regal. Eats a slap to the face. And he looks at both of them and he says, shake hands, work together, make it work. And I'm just in awe. They shake hands. If you're telling me William Regal is going to be the manager for a stable comprised of Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson, potentially others like Daniel Garcia, Lee Johnson, and Wheeler Yuta, oh my God, I cannot wait to see this. William Regal being signed, by the way, is probably one of the most important signings that AEW's had, period. I really do think that. We'll talk about it more on the channel at a later date, but this was amazing. Moving on, the penultimate match, the AHFOS, Matt Hardy, Andrade El Idolo, and Isaiah Cassidy taking on Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Sting. I'm not going to talk too much about this match because there was a lot of spots. There was a Spanish fly off the stage by Sammy Guevara onto Isaiah Cassidy, but the spot of the night came from Sting. Ooh, my God. Sting at 63 years old, I think, went up to the top of a doorway in the arena. It was at least like 10 feet in the air. It was around 10 feet in the air. And he does a dive off of there's concrete floors, by the way, in where the fans are. He does a dive off the doorway onto multiple people through a table. If you told me that Sting would be able to do that and walk afterwards, I don't know what to tell you, but Sting is just, he is defying everything. I know he doesn't wrestle on a weekly basis, but man, oh man, for 62, 63, this dude is amazing. The Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, and Sting won, obviously. This match was exactly what it needed to be. It was 13 minutes of nonstop action, and it really got you interested, and I think with these six competitors, it obviously blends itself to itself. It was great. Moving on. Main event time. Adam versus Adam. Hangman Adam Page, the AEW World Champion, took on Adam Cole, baby. 25 minutes of glorious pro wrestling. The story was Adam Cole and Adam Page, they have history. The story was that Adam Cole is going to use Red Dragon to help him win. The story was that if that were the case, Dark Order would be right there by Adam Page's side, and they were. This is another match where I just don't know how to. Again, this wasn't my favorite match of the night. It was definitely one of my favorite matches of the night, but it's hard for me to really put this into words. So I really implore you to go watch it. The finishing sequence saw Dark Order run off Red Dragon, and Hangman Adam Page hit Adam Cole with multiple, so many buckshot lariats. He lowered the boom by the way, on Adam Cole as well. Used his own move against him, finished him off like with a buckshot, and it was great. This was like one of the few times where Adam Page seemed like he was the guy. And I know like we've been struggling to see him in that light. He's had those fleeting moments, the Bryan Danielson match, the other Bryan Danielson match. But other than that, he really hasn't been positioned as the top draw, the top guy in the company, it would seem. But this was almost like a moment where he came out and said, I'm the guy. You got to go through me to get this. And it was amazing. This pay-per-view was so great, people. I cannot understate it. There were two big criticisms I had that I need to bring up. One, commentary. I had a huge problem with commentary all night, and it wasn't Excalibur. It was mainly JR and Tony Schiavone. There were so many times, and I'm usually very nice about this. I'm very nice about JR and Tony Schiavone because I respect them. I love them. I grew up listening to JR especially. He's the voice. When you do a pro wrestling commentator's voice, you do a JR impersonation. By God. 100%. It just seemed like there were moments where they didn't move the stories of the matches along. It seemed like there were moments where they were either relying too much on Excalibur, or when Excalibur was trying to make an important point, they interrupted with something that was kind of just unnecessary. So I think, moving forward, they really need to keep that in mind. I like the commentary team on Rampage, sans Chris Jericho. I think the optimal commentary team at this point would be one comprised of Taz and Excalibur. If you can get someone like a Mauro Ranallo, I think that would be amazing. I think Mauro Ranallo is the best commentator in combat sports right now, and he deserves to be back in wrestling, and I think the schedule with AEW would work for him, especially doing Dynamite and then the 4 pay-per-views. I think that would be great, but obviously it depends on Mauro, and that's like me being wishful, but I do think, and it's hard for me to say with JR and Tony Schiavone, but I do think that they're past their prime, obviously, but it's getting to the end for both of them as far as being full-time commentators. I do think still JR provides a lot as far as just him being there, and he was much more important in the end, or in the beginning of the company. He was like, you had to have JR in the beginning to establish that AEW was real, that AEW had credibility, and it was very important. I think now it's time to evolve a little bit. It's in the name of the pay-per-view, evolution, our evolution, whatever. But I think it's time for them to take the next step. Tony Schiavone there's sometimes where I'm literally wondering, why is he there? At least JR lends that credibility. At least JR, at times he's very great. But with Schiavone, there's a lot of times where I'm just saying, why is he here? Because he's not really adding much. He's marking out, and that's great. And I think that ran its course, though. But we'll see. Hopefully they get that addressed. The other big one is obviously the pay-per-view is very long. I am a stickler when it comes to 5-hour pay-per-views for WWE, including WrestleMania. I'm going to be the same with AEW. 12 matches on the show, including the buy-in. It's a lot. It is a lot to take in. The crowd is dead. Full Gear is the ultimate example. The crowd was absolutely dead for Hangman's big moment against Kenny Omega. And I think we're seeing a similar thing happen here. So hopefully they get that in order and maybe cut it down, or maybe they do like a 2-night event, or maybe Rampage becomes like a special kind of pre-show. I don't know. They got to figure it out. Again, it was a great night. There were hardly any bad matches, but they got to. But I do think 5 hours is a long time, especially on a Sunday night when people have work the next day. Like, this isn't like a Labor Day or Memorial Day weekend show. People had work the next day, so it kind of hindered that, I think, and it was hindered, I should say, by that. Other than that, pay-per-view was amazing. I'll give it 5 stars. I don't care what anyone says. I enjoyed it. Even in its worst moments, it was entertaining, and I didn't really take my eye off of it. And in its best moments, it was emotional, captivating, and awe-inspiring. And that is all you can ask for in a wrestling pay-per-view. So that's my take on AEW Revolution. Thank you for bearing with me. For more videos, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. And be sure to follow us on Twitter at Real Take Sports for more updates. Until then, I've been Umar Q, and keep it real.